Good morning and welcome to our series in the Beatitudes in Matthew chapter 5. If you've been following us online on YouTube, I hope you have. And then we are now at almost at the end. We have blessed are the peacemakers, and then the last one, blessed are you when they persecute you. I always wondered about that one, but we'll find out about that later on. Whoops. Get myself sorted out here a little bit. There we go. Okay. Well, blessed are the peacemakers. That's Matthew chapter 5 and verse 9. What is a peacemaker? If you went over to America and you said, what is a peacemaker? The most likely answer you'd get would be, well, that's a gun. Samuel Colt called his .45 revolver a peacemaker. And it's also known as the gun that won the West. It was a first revolver with had a revolving cylinder, and you could shoot more people a lot faster. But that's not the biblical idea of a peacemaker. The Greek word for this only appears once in the New Testament, and it's here. It's irenapoios, which means make peace, properly a peacemaker. So peace is freedom from disturbance, tranquility, peace of mind, freedom from or the end of war or a treaty. And we often say in church, don't we, peace be with you. And the response is, and with you also. There's a special joy for peacemakers because they're the ones who bring about peace, and they're the ones who reconcile people. Self-assertiveness, a divisive spirit, one that's always demanding my rights. They know nothing of making peace. But those who reconcile people who are estranged are doing something just as God would do. They are bringing together people. He is always making peace. The ultimate peacemaking act was the death of Jesus on the cross. Sadly, in today's society, we're so focused with our individual rights that we often would not think to want to be a reconciler, especially when we are not the one in the wrong. He's in the wrong. Let him or her apologise to me. A peacemaker goes out of their way to bring a situation back to rights and to restore harmony and peace. Many years ago, my wife and I, we lived in mid-Wales, and we were members of a small Pentecostal church. We actually did quite a bit to help that church out because it was very small. And the minister there was fresh out of the training college. He won't mind me saying this online. This is over 20 years ago. And when we decided that we were going to leave, he was very angry about it. So angry, in fact, that he wrote us a scathing letter. Ran up to our door, pushed it through the letterbox and ran off again. And I read it. I said, well, okay, throw it in the bin, that's it. That's finished, we're moving anyway. My wife, who is much wiser than me, read it and she said, no, she said, we need to write to him and say sorry if we've hurt him by the fact that we are moving. My first reaction was a great one. I said, right, well, you write it, but I'm not signing it. Now, as you know, wives usually get their way. I signed it, but I signed it in good faith. Rupert got this letter, he read it, and, cut the story short, we're still friends. We go and stay with them occasionally. We're in constant touch with them, and if we hadn't written that letter, a great friendship would have been lost. Let's look at a peacemaker from the Old Testament. A great story in 1 Samuel 25. It's a story of David and Nabal. Now you probably remember Nabal. But this is just after David has had the chance to kill Saul. He's found him in a cave at En Gedi. And He could have killed him because Saul has been chasing him for about 15 years now and making his life hell, and David has had to live on the boundaries of Jewish civilization. He's constantly crossing the border between the Philistines and the Jews, and his life was not great. Saul knew that David had been anointed as the next king by Samuel, and Saul was not happy about that. And even after all this persecution that David has suffered, he has a very strong sense of what is right and what is wrong. And he chose to pay homage to Saul. And David knows what's right. And as he comes upon Abigail and Nabal, he has an issue. During the shearing season, David has left his men with Nabal to protect them, to make sure that the sheep get sheared without any interference from the Philistines. And now David is looking for rations for his army. Nabal is a very rich man. And as David had respected Nabal's property, he could just have taken the whole lot for himself. But he's respected it, and he now expects Nabal to return the favour. He sends a greeting. Peace be to you and to your house, and peace to all that you have. But Nabal, whose name means fool, refuses their request and sends David's men away. Why should I give him anything? Who does this David think he is? When I got back and told David this, David is obviously not very happy about the situation. And it's more about the disrespect than the fact that Nabal has refused to give him anything. And so he orders 400 men to put on their swords, and so they go looking for a fight. In the meantime, one of the servants of Abigail, Nabal's wife, told her all that had happened. You know, when you look at the care that David had taken of Nabal, when you read through this for yourself, you will see that he has done everything that was required to keep Nabal and his men safe. And so here enters our peacemaker, Abigail. She got to work. She is a woman who does. She doesn't sit down and think about the issue. She knows the issue and she knows the solution. 200 loaves, 2 skins of wine, 5 readily prepared sheep, 35 litres of grain, raisin cakes. She's going all out to make amends for her idiot of a husband. Makes me think that she knew full well the magnitude of the insult her husband had caused David. So David's coming. He's vowed that he's going to kill Nabal and all of his men. But Abigail meets him along the way. She's very brave because David is still breathing fire and brimstone on anybody from Nabal's household. But she wanted to make amends. You see, you can't be a peacemaker if you're only prepared to make peace or apologise when you're the one in the wrong. When our son went to uni, he shared a house with 4 or 5 other people, and there were constant arguments. And they'd always say to him, "What do you think, Craig?" And he would say, "You want somebody to apologise? Phone my mum. She'll say sorry for anything." And she will. So, to go back, Abigail persuades David that he would be in the wrong to kill Nabal. And she even starts to prophesy over David's life. And this is a really powerful encounter. David thanks her for stopping him from taking revenge. And who knows what we might be averting? Who knows what we might be stopping if we step into that role of peacemaker? He tells her to go home in peace, which of course she can do because she's made peace possible now. And she's saved countless lives, and all unbeknown to her husband. If you know the end of the story, you will know very well that it does not end well for Nabal. But Abigail has a good ending. She becomes David's wife, and it says he looked after her. So had Abigail done anything wrong? No, not a thing. She was a peacemaker. She knew what was the right thing to do. They should be called the sons of God. Jesus was called the Prince of Peace in Isaiah. He's recognized as God's son and only did what he saw the Father doing. we will be recognised as God's children by our actions. Family traits are easily recognisable. The more we become like Jesus, the more we will be recognised. And when we're making peace, we will actually be like Jesus, our brother. The striking promise for me in this beatitude is that those who make peace will be called children of God. That just underlines to me how central to the nature of God peace is. It's how righteousness works out in a fallen world, not in judgment and condemnation, but in bringing the fragments together, bringing the fragmented people and building a new picture and a new experience of harmony. So what about you and me? If we're people that are only prepared to say sorry or make peace when we're the ones that are not in the wrong, we can never be peacemakers in the truest sense of the word. Jesus had never done anything wrong, and yet he became the ultimate peacemaker and died for the likes of us. You might want to ask the Lord whether there is a situation in which he would like you to be the peacemaker. And I think he would answer very, very quickly. So blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. Amen. Thank you, folks. You know that we're nearing the beginning of a lifting of lockdown restrictions, and I just pray that you will all stay safe, even though the restrictions might have gone, that you will still carry on using the mask, keeping the social distance, and keeping safe. Thank you so much. Bless you all. Bye-bye.